Bogone bupirima rega ele morena kawena rega ema ratswarana morena ore khoche Waar die wilgers welig spruit, doringboom sy skadu sprei, soos ons groei in kundigheid, mag U ons lei. Sien ons hoe hier lei met die hand, laat U sien rus oor ons land. Strong streams united flow, Africa stands proud and tall. As we learn, we trust, we know, God is in control. Bless us, O Lord, guide us with grace. May Northwest be blessed always. Bless us, O Lord, sien ons lief. Ore Jehovah se morena, sien ons, bless us, O Lord.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Special word of welcome to, if I understand correctly, the acting Deputy Vice Chancellor, our acting Dean, Prof. Menno, Prof. Dumi, Professor van Wyk, Dean of Faculty of Humanities, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. A special word of welcome, I would like to extend that to Mr. and Mrs. van Zaanen, who came all the way from the Netherlands to enjoy this joyous occasion. We hope that you will enjoy it, and I know as a parent myself, you will not be prouder. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all to this evening's inaugural lecture on digital humanities. I am honored to be here as Prof. van Zaanen's first director in Sadala when he arrived here in 2019. Our collaboration dates back to 2002, when he was the first visiting lecturer at the then fledgling CTEXT, and he did a course or a series of lectures and workshops on machine learning, if I'm not mistaken. Now, Prof. van Zaanen's contributions, as you can see in his CV, in the field of digital humanities, how he contributes both nationally and internationally, highlight the significance of his role in advancing Sadala's mission and in the field as a whole. All scholarly endeavors are intrinsically tied to the finding and collection of information, the pursuit of knowledge, and, if we are fortunate, wisdom. Digital humanities scholars delve deeply into the very fabric of language, exploring the structures, form, and function of text, identifying patterns and anomalies within vast corpora to extract insights from the information they investigate. Through their work, they build interconnected networks of understanding, allowing us to address new challenges, decipher subtleties and contextual nuances, and so ultimately fostering the development of new ideas and perspective. The modernist poet and Nobel Prize winner, T.S. Eliot, eloquently captured the complex journey from information to wisdom via knowledge in his verse play The Rock, and I quote from the first chorus: "The endless cycle of idea and action, endless invention, endless experiment brings knowledge of motion, but not of stillness, knowledge of speech, but not of silence, knowledge of words, and ignorance of the word with a capital W. All our knowledge brings us nearer to our ignorance. All our ignorance brings us nearer to death. But nearness to death is not nearer to God. Where is the life we have lost in living? Where is the wisdom we have lost in knowledge? Where is the knowledge we have lost in information?" Our speaker tonight is a highly regarded scholar with a wealth of experience in harnessing digital techniques and methodologies to generate new knowledge and insights. His work reminds us that digital humanities is not only about handling of information, but also about transforming it into deeper understanding and eventually, if possible, and if so, wisdom. In this, Prof. Menno van Zaanen embodies the very journey that Eliot describes, one that leads us from mere data to systematic investigation and the production of knowledge towards a richer, more reflective wisdom, and, as Eliot suggests, to life itself. May tonight's lecture inspire us to bridge the gaps between information, knowledge, and wisdom, embracing the true potential of our collective scholarly wisdoms and endeavors. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. For those of you who don't know, I am Menno, and officially I'm the Deputy Dean for Research and Innovation in the Faculty of Humanities, but tonight I am Prof. Dumi Moyo. Then, of course, a special welcome to Prof. Dumi Moyo, who is tonight Prof. Linda du Plessis, Acting DVC for Teaching and Learning. Prof. Moyo, so of course, welcome, a warm welcome to you. Then also a special welcome to Prof. Liesel van Dijk, who is the Executive Dean for the Faculty of Engineering. But because of her family ties with the faculty, I've told her she is anyway part of this faculty. And she attends so many of our functions and inaugural lectures that she really feels like part of the family. Prof. Liesel, a special welcome to you also. Then, of course, Prof. Langa Kumalu, who is the director of SADiLaR, and Prof. Phil van Skalkwyk, who is the director of our focus area, language and literature in the South African context. All colleagues, family members, we really appreciate that you are here tonight for Prof. Menno. I think, it's Menno, having so many people here tonight just tells you how much you are respected. But then he also asked me, before I do this, I just need to mention, that the faculty in SADiLaR has a very special connection. Besides the fact that it is a hosted entity, SADiLaR is very much part of the faculty. And because we are starting with the Digital Humanities Center next year, the link is absolutely integral, and that's why we are so much looking forward to Menno's presentation this evening. So many also asked, and Prof. Ati has already welcomed his parents who especially travelled from so far away, so a special welcome to Arnold and Aria van Zaanen. And then, of course, Prof. Menno's own family, Tanya Goustad van Zaanen, Colvin van Zaanen, and Leila van Zaanen. Colleagues, welcome. I really hope we are all, you are definitely going to enjoy tonight. I know we are very much looking forward to Prof. Menno's presentation tonight. So, Prof. Menno, where are you now? There you are, have disappeared there. Good luck. We are very much looking forward to tonight.
just enjoying the view at the moment. Thank you very much all of you for being here. I will thank a lot of people, but there are so many. I'd like to start with the lecture first, and then I'll spend a bit of time with thanking. What I'd like to do today is I would like to tell you a little bit about digital humanities, being a professor in digital humanities. And I remember when I started, and that's actually still the case, people often tell me, well, digital humanities, what is that? Is that a new field or something? And yeah, I think it is a relatively new field, especially in South Africa. So you can then ask yourself, so what is this digital humanities? I mean, people use the word now and then, but what is it really? So actually, when I started thinking about this for my presentation, I wondered, okay, if I want to answer that, I first need to know what humanities is. I think I've got an idea, but when you really start thinking about it, when you prepare a lecture, you're like, I don't actually know what it is. And same thing with digital. So I think I know what it is, but how do I explain this? And then how do these relate to each other? Okay, so I'm trying my best to get this idea across. And then I claim here that digital humanities is a relatively new field. So is it really? So what is the history of digital humanities? I'll take a little bit of time globally and what's happened in South Africa and where we stand now. So what is the current state of digital humanities in South Africa? And then also, as you've seen from the title, we'll look a little bit into the future, though I'm really not good at looking into the future, so I'll keep that part very, very short. Okay, so what is digital humanities? Let's start there. I actually wondered about this even this morning. I thought I should have just asked ChatGPT, right? But that's not what academics do. So what I did is I took the dictionary and I looked up what humanities is. I'm not sure if any of you have actually done that. This is Faculty of Humanities. It's a massive entry. At first I started typing a bit. I'm like, this is like 5 or 6 slides. This is not working. So I kind of highlighted a few things that I think are most important. So you don't have to read all of this. So humanities is the branch of learning concerned with human culture. Okay, I think that kind of rings a bell. So history, literature, ancient modern languages, law, philosophy, art, music. I think, okay, that's kind of what I think. What I found interesting is a little bit lower. It says, so it focuses on the use of interpretation of text and artifacts, etc., rather than experimental and quantitative methods. Like, okay, we have to keep that in mind. Then digital. What is digital? Again, massive entry. I'll highlight a few of the things that I think are most important here. So it has something to do with numerical digits. Okay, so it's numbers. Representing data in computing. Okay, that's something else. Typical for electronic storage or processing. Data in digital form, encoded in form of digital data. So you can kind of see that there might be some sort of relationship, right? Now, what is this relationship? Okay, I don't really know, or I have an idea, but I don't really know how to present this. So there's actually a nice website that's called whatisdigitalhumanities.com. Now, this is making my life easier. There are a lot of quotes there from participants at the Day of the Age from 2009 and 2014. So these are people who are working in the field of digital humanities, describing what they think digital humanities is. And there are quite a few nice ones. I picked out only a few, because otherwise we'll spend hours here. So one is what sits at the intersection of the computational method and the traditional pursuits of the humanities. Okay, this is essentially combining the two entries that we just had, right? Let's take a look at another one. Digital humanities is the use of digital technologies to generate and answer new questions relevant to the humanities scholar and to share and transform scholarship and its modes of creation and dissemination. So the focus here is slightly different. It's in the same area. Okay, let's look at one more. Digital humanities is an academic and social engagement with electronic formats of human cultural processes and forms such as literature, arts, history, and music. So I think we're getting an idea now, right? This is really combining these two entries. So let me quickly summarize from these quotes and from kind of what I think this combination is. So digital humanities generates and answers new questions relevant to the humanities, and it blends the fields of humanities and digital techniques. The idea is then that the results of this is more than the ingredients, and it requires both humanities and computational skills, right? And this blender here is kind of you see that picture there, that's kind of blending these ingredients. And it's this nice purple, I hope it's the right NWU purple, but you get the idea. Anyway, so it requires humanities skills and computational skills. So what you often see in this kind of research is that you see either two researchers or two research groups working together, one with a more humanities focus, another with a more computational focus. It's not always the case. There are fields like computational linguistics, which is really the blend already, or computational musicology. So you see this is kind of evolving. Okay, so that's, I think, what digital humanities, I think that's enough, otherwise we'll spend too much time. So let's start with the beginning part of the title. Is digital humanities really a new field in South Africa? Okay, I'd like to go back quite a while, perhaps earlier than you might expect. So around 1840. This might be a bit weird if you think about this computational aspect. So there's a relatively famous person, Ada Lovelace. She's the daughter of Lord Byron. And so that's not the important part in this case. She's considered to be the first programmer. The first programmer. This is 1840, approximately. Computers did not exist. So that's kind of interesting. She published, however, the first computer program. So this was based on a computer that didn't even exist at this moment. Okay. Okay. Let me add one more part. There is actually a whole discussion whether she really published this and she really came up with this. And okay, I don't want to go in that. The computer wasn't even implemented. Actually, at the time, they couldn't even build it because the techniques were not good enough. But the ideas behind it were already good. What I find most interesting part is that she was, as far as I can find out, the first one who considered using a computer for something non-numerical. So at the time, they had calculators, mechanical calculators, that was just for numbers. She was, as far as I know, the first one who proposed to use it for music. And I think that is, to me, the first kind of step in digital humanities, even though computers didn't exist yet. Okay, what is typically mentioned as the first steps in digital humanities around the 1940s. It's called humanities computing. Father Busa is one often mentioned. So he wanted to automate linguistic analysis, build a concordance, so words in context. I just wanted to add that Ada Lovelace one because I think that really is the start of digital humanities. Okay, so what does this look like worldwide? So first we need computers. So this really started a little bit later. You see different publications and organizations starting around the 1960s, 1970s, 1980s. And then in 2005, a lot of these organizations joined together in an organization called ADO, the Alliance of Digital Humanities Association. So this is like an umbrella organization bringing digital humanities organizations together. So this is worldwide. If we now look at South Africa, it's actually quite difficult to find a lot of information about this. So a lot of the information seems to be just lost in the web. So this is what I managed to find. The initial focus, so this is around 2000, at least that I could find, is around digitization and archives. So there are archives, so 2000 South African History Online, University of KwaZulu-Natal, the Digital Innovation South Africa, Rhodes University, focusing on music. So this is, I think, the starting of digital humanities in South Africa, focusing on archiving. Then a few years later, CTEX was already mentioned, CTEX here at Northwest University. As far as I can find, in 2004 it was founded. You see that there's a field kind of emerging around computational linguistics. So there are a number of universities that have either researchers or research groups. Also the CSR, for example, at the time the Maraka Institute. And they're focusing more on the computational linguistics. So this is not just the archiving, this is a little bit more. And then we also see the National Center for Human Language Technology, and in 2012, the Research Management Agency trying to collect computational linguistic resources. So this is around 2004. Let's skip a little bit more. 2014 is approximately what I could find the first digital humanities activities that were really called digital humanities. So the University of Pretoria had a symposium on digital humanities and the representation of self. Durban University had a Best Digital Humanities Tool Award. Northwest University actually had a Digital Humanities Awareness Symposium. So you see kind of small pockets around the country pop up around 2014. And then in 2016, the Digital Humanities Association of Southern Africa is founded, 2016. And they also joined ADO, this worldwide organization, in 2018. So I think now the field is really really starting to grow. Okay, so that's quickly the history of worldwide digital humanities in South Africa. Okay, so where do we stand now? What is now the situation of digital humanities in South Africa? And I'm not sure if anybody noticed, so the pictures that I have just kind of in between, I can tell you, the link is there. I generated them, I let the computer generate them. So the first one, I'm not sure if anybody tried to read the text there. There's no text to read. And here you can also see, yeah, the images are not perfect. There's a kind of a hand thing there, and the keyboards don't really look right either. The thing is, the technologies are starting. They're working, they're usable in a way. They might not necessarily be perfect yet. So this is something we're working on. Just to try to highlight approximately where we are, and I'll give a few more examples here. Okay, so just to say something about the current state, and of course here I need to mention SADiLaR, the South African Center for Digital Language Resources, which I think is the organization in the country boosting digital humanities. So this is a research infrastructure funded by the Department of Science and Innovation from 2016 onwards. This is a country-wide organization, so the hub is here at Northwest University, but it also has several nodes across the country. CTEX is already mentioned several times now. They're a node of SADiLaR focusing on language technology. ISELDA is a multi-organization focusing mostly on language testing. University of Pretoria focusing on digitization. University of South Africa terminology. The CSR on speech, and Stellenbosch University focusing on child language development. And I might simplify things here a little bit, but I hope you get the idea. This is different areas that need to be covered. Okay, now SADiLaR runs 2 programs, even though there are 3 bullet points. We have a digitization program focusing on text, speech, and multimodal resources. I'll say a little bit more about that. And a digital humanities program. I'll definitely say a little bit more about that. So building digital humanities research capacity in the country. A third one, which is an emerging or in development program, focuses on higher education support related to these areas. Okay, so what is this digitization program? For a lot of the tools that we need or that we build, that we create in digital humanities, you need a lot of language examples, language resources. So the digitization program focuses on collecting these data collections, examples of language use. And if we look worldwide, for English, for example, there are huge amounts, massive amounts. But if we then look at the South African languages, and you say, oh yeah, English, we have that as well. Yeah, but how many resources do we have specifically for South African English? Actually, there are not so many. For Afrikaans, there are kind of decent amounts, but if you look at it worldwide, these are small amounts. And for the other languages, it's actually very, very limited. Yeah? So this is really a problem. If we want to build these tools, we need to have these language examples, which we don't. So we can't build the tools, so we're kind of stuck. So this is a very important program that we collect this data, but also the data collections that are already out there, but that are not accessible for us. Digitize analog data, so if we have text on paper, we can scan it, we can OCR it, we can extract this text. And we want to make this available so people can use it. So it's not just the data collections that we make available, we also have language tools that are made available. And these are specific for the South African languages, or they might be language independent, so you can use it for any language. Now the Digital Humanities program focuses specifically on awareness and support for digital humanities as a research field in South Africa. So what we do is we show the resources that are out there, the tools that are out there for people to use, and we do that through a range of training activities, and I'll say more about that. So we want to reskill, on the one hand, humanities researchers so that they can use these digital tools, but we also take a look at computational researchers and show them that there are interesting problems in the fields of humanities to tackle. So it works both ways. Okay, so then I was actually wondering, so what is the state now? But I actually started thinking when I started here in 2019, I talked to a number of researchers, and a lot of the humanities researchers specifically were actually quite interested. So what is this digital humanities? I want to do this, and so, but where do I start? And all this computational stuff, that looks really difficult. I don't know, are there tools that I can use, and where can I find them? Are there courses, or where do I start? Also, they didn't know what kind of research was done. So there were people doing digital humanities research in South Africa, but they didn't call it that. So we had this kind of open question of how do we start? Fortunately, this is 5 years later, we are a little bit further. So I'd like to give you a few examples of research that is currently being done. And I'll just give a few examples of research of things you can do. And this is really not exhaustive. I'll just focus on some research being done at Cellular, but I'm only going to focus on research that I was involved in because I feel slightly more comfortable talking about that. So this is really a subset of a subset of a subset. Please don't see this as this is the only thing that can be done. I'll quickly try to tackle 3 topics, so 3 examples: computational narrative analysis, text analysis, and dictionary development. Okay, I thought I'd put some water here. Okay, so the idea of computational narrative analysis, the work that we've done focuses on structure in narratives. So narratives are essentially like stories, and we want to figure out what are the structures, the high-level structures in these stories. How do people tell stories? So what we want to be able to do is, if we have a narrative, we want to be able to find what is happening in the story. What are the events that are happening? What are the scenes that are happening? What are the events in time? Because there might be flashbacks or flash forwards. I'll give some other examples of things you can do in this as well. The idea is, if you can do this with a computer, you can let the computer do this. The computer doesn't get tired. The computer can use huge amounts of data, so you can analyze thousands of stories, which you could do perhaps by hand, but that will take years. So the idea is we want to extract this automatically. And if you can do that, you can actually look at literary trends, for example, or how people tell stories in general. So I forgot to mention, so a lot of the work that I'm presenting is actually a collaboration with others. So this is a collaboration with a PhD student, Nuet Heinz. So here we're working on developing tools that can, for example, automatically detect boundaries in literary text. So what are the parts in these literary texts? How do we find these boundaries? And we have tools to do that automatically. We also look at annotation schemes for literary structure, so that you can actually test your tools and see if what humans would annotate, is that the same thing as what the computer would find. And to actually test this, we create a corpus as well. So a collection of text, in this case, we're doing whodunits that are manually annotated using this, so that we can actually test these tools and build these tools. So if we have this done, we can also do this for large amounts of text. So that is the high-level structure of events. You can also take a look at stories in what is happening inside the story. We have actors saying something, interacting. Can we identify the social networks that take place in a narrative in an automatic way? So that you can also, again, compare large amounts of books, for example. So how do we do this? And this, again, is a collaboration with a number of people. The names are there, so I'm not going to mention all of these, but I really appreciate working with all of these researchers. Okay, so how do we do this? So we take a text, and then we take a tool called a named entity recognizer. So a named entity recognizer is a tool that can identify names of people, places, organizations, etc. Once we found these, and now we're interested mostly in the people occurring, or the names of people in the text, we can see, can we find a relationship between these people? So if people co-occur in a sentence, we assume that they have some sort of relationship. We don't know what kind of relationship, but they're so close together in the text, we assume that. So then we can essentially start counting how often they occur, how often they co-occur. And then we can create a network based on this information. And the network gives us information about how often they occur, how strongly they are connected. And we can visualize that. So let me give you an example. We took Zadie Smith's white teeth, and then you get this. Okay, I'm not sure if you can read it. I can't, not even on this screen. Let me zoom in a little bit. Let me zoom in just a little bit more. I hope you can read these. So the bigger the name, the more frequently they occur. The thicker the lines between them, the more strong their relationship is. Yeah. Okay, so this, we did this analysis. I hadn't even read the book yet. So I assumed, based on this, that Archie and Samad are the main characters, and the other ones, Milat and... Okay, so now what? So fortunately, I was working with people doing the actual literary analysis. They read the book. They told me, spot on. Like, yeah, I'm not sure if I really trust you. No, it's not that I don't trust them, but I mean, how do I how do I know? Well, fortunately, this book. I'm not sure if you can see. This is really, really small, but the book is structured into chapters, and each chapter has the name of one of the main characters, and these are exactly the names in that network. I thought this was pretty cool. I read the book afterwards. It's actually quite a nice book. Okay, so what else can we do with this? So now we actually have a nice tool that does something that I can easily do, but it requires linguistic analysis or literary analysis to really make sense of, right? So when I came here, I said, like, can we do this? So what happens if we start doing this for the South African languages? Can we do the same thing? So I started working with a number of colleagues who are all here. I think they are all here. I saw at least a number of them. I see at least one of them. So we tested them on different books. So a novel and 2 plays, and see what happened. And I can tell you, it kind of works. So this is the one for the Afrikaans book. This is for the Tshivenda book. I really don't speak or read any Tshivenda, but I've told this is actually pretty good representation of the play, and the same for Xitsonga. I don't read Xitsonga, unfortunately. So this kind of works. This doesn't just work for English. However, the tools need to be good. So we were struggling a little bit with the quality of the identification of the names, for example. So you see there's work to be done, but once we get that, we can actually do these kinds of analyses. Okay, what else can you do with this? So this is some recent work with people in Poland when I visited there. This is actually triggered based on some other research done by some of my colleagues who are looking at translation choices of special terminology. And I was wondering, if we get translations of books, then essentially the social network should be the same, right? The story is the same. I wonder if that really is the case. So we took a number of books and their translations into English, Polish, German, and Dutch, because these were the languages that we could at least read. And we started doing that. And actually the networks are really quite different. They're really quite different. So that was interesting. So some of the things we figured out, so there are specific language properties. In Polish, for example, you inflect names as well. So the named entity recognizer doesn't pick that up. But even then, the networks are different. So what does this mean? Do people, if you read a translation, do you read a different story? Or what? So this is really now, coming from the computational analysis, it needs to go back to the literary scholars to figure out what does this now really mean? Okay, just to summarize, the computational analysis can help with manual literary analysis, for example. It can handle huge amounts of data, which is really nice. We don't have to do this by hand. It can easily uncover these patterns. And it can also work on a range of languages, so not just English. But you have to keep in mind the humanities scholar needs to be there, otherwise it doesn't make sense. Okay, let's quickly skip to the next topic, and I'm very happy that Johannes is here. I saw him earlier. So this is work that I did together with Johannes, where we looked at readability. So the readability levels of learners of South African indigenous languages is quite low, based on international research. So we wanted to figure out what can we do to make sure that the learners get a right level of text, so that they're not reading too easy text or too difficult text. For that, you want to have some sort of metric. You want to have a text, and you want to say, this is about this difficult, or it's about this difficult. So the idea is that readability measures can do that. They take a text in and they give you a sense of how difficult these texts are. So what we did is we developed this specifically for Sesotho. There's a lot of research behind it. I'll just quickly mention one thing that we did here. So what we did is we started with English readability metrics that were already developed, right? We then took Sesotho text, translated it to English. We ran the English readability scores on them, so we have a sense of how difficult these texts are. And we link them up with the Sesotho text. So now we have Sesotho text, we have readability scores based on the English metrics. So now we can develop metrics specifically for the Sesotho texts. Okay, so what do we get from this? we got the first readability metrics, actually 6 or so, specifically for Sesotho. Right? This is really developed specifically for Sesotho. We also have a bilingual readability corpus, English and Sesotho linked. We also have a Sesotho word list with the most frequent word, because that's used in these readability metrics. We developed 2 syllabification systems for Sesotho. And we have an annotated data collection for that as well. So it's a whole range of tools and resources developed there. And the idea is that this will actually help Sesotho learners to improve their own language reading skills. Okay, the last example I want to focus on is some dictionary development. I was contacted by Kerry Jones and Bonnie Sands, and they among others, they collected field notes for a language called Ngu, which is nearly extinct. There's one known fluent speaker of the language left. These field notes were collected over a range of about 20 years. And we were wondering, can we do something with this? So it's now in a spreadsheet somewhere. At least it's electronically available. But a lot of the other field notes that people have collected over the years and years is just on paper somewhere in a drawer. Can we do something to make this really accessible? So what we did is we looked at the quality of it, we converted it into different formats, and we tried to make it available as real tools that people can use. So we wanted to create this multilingual dictionary resource. The field notes are actually in multiple languages, in Ngu, in Nama Afrikaans, including some local dialects, and in South African English, right? And I already mentioned that Ngu is a critically endangered language. Okay, so these are field notes. So it's kind of stuff that these field linguists wrote down. There are audio recordings as well. And just to have a little bit of background, the information was just stored in a spreadsheet, like Excel or something that I think a lot of you are using as well. That's actually quite nice, Excel, something like Excel. Very nice for humans. It's easy to use. Yeah, I'll get to that point. It's easy to use because everybody essentially knows how to use it. You can just start typing and you're done. It's very flexible. It has no predefined structure. You can just select what you want to do. You can search, you can sort, all really nice. And it's kind of semi-structured, right? You can have columns with separate types of data. Really nice for humans. But if you look at it from a computational perspective, it is difficult. There is too much flexibility. There is a lack of consistency. So you can't easily extract the information from it. It's not really structured. So cells can contain multiple pieces of information. It's very easy, we noticed even during quality control, to mess things up. By accident, you move one cell to the other, for example, or numbers might magically transform into dates. Oh, and additionally, they had some color coding in it as well, which is very difficult to extract. So I just quickly want to show you what it looks like. So this is what I started with. Okay, I'm really not going to walk you through this. This took several months to figure out. And the field linguists know exactly what's in there. But for them to explain what it really is, that was a challenge. Okay, so we had to do extensive quality control. So this was done by the field linguist, by the community. I had to do extensive computational data conversion. I really had to extract all the pieces of information, make sure that it's all in the right format. Once we had that, we could create a number of outputs, a dictionary portal where you can find all the information, a dictionary app, also a physical dictionary. I actually forgot to bring it with me, a book that you can hold in your hand. And we also created instructional videos so people know how to use all of this. So because a lot of these people that want to use the book have never used a dictionary before or have never used an app like this before. So we have instructional videos as well. And the cool thing is that the app and the portal also contain audio, so you can actually listen to what this sounds like, because I mean I can only do one of these clicks, but there are more that I cannot do. So it's really nice to be able to listen to that as well. So this is what it looks like, the dictionary portal, the app, and the book itself. And I should have brought a physical copy. So the book is in the 4 languages. You can search in the 4 languages as well. It's really, really nice. Okay, so these are some examples of the things that at least I've been involved in. I know there's way more, but then, yeah, okay, I'll be standing here quite a bit longer. So what can we expect from digital humanities in the kind of near future? And I'm not a fortune teller. This is kind of my idea. So we're getting to the beyond part of the title here. We actually started looking at this. So what if we want this field to grow? What should happen? So we did a needs assessment, and we identified that people want to have some sort of community. They want to be able to find what is happening. They want to find the research that's happening. They want to look for collaborations. They want to be able to ask questions. People want to become part of a digital humanities community. They also needed training. So that if you have a humanities researcher and you don't know where to start, it's nice if you see a few training opportunities. So these training opportunities need to be visual. They should be at the entry level, also to more advanced. And ideally, they'll be focused in a South African context. So if you want to see something about your own language, you can see it. So to get there, so this is to get to the future. We started a program called Escalator. And actually the last 2 days, we've had extensive discussions on how to revamp this, how to improve this even. But Escalator is a national project developed by Cellular, and it really aims to develop this field of digital humanities, a community of practice. So there are 3 main components, but these often consist of multiple components. So we have a stakeholder map, Slack, and the Digital Champions Initiative. The stakeholder map is a place where people can try to find each other. So if you're active in the field of digital humanities, or you want to be active in the field of digital humanities, you can just register there and you're placed on the map. So you can actually see, if you click on the locations, who is actually active or who is interested. People can find each other. I'm not sure if this is really visible, but if you click on a network, you can actually see all the connections between the people that are there. The second part, the Slack, is a way of getting people together so they can talk to each other. So Slack, for those of you who don't know, Slack is like a social media platform where you can just register and you can ask questions, you can introduce yourself, you can get information about conferences, about jobs. There are different channels focusing on specific topics. So we wanted to have a place where people can register, become really part of the community, ask questions and have discussions. And the third part, and I'm not going through all of these, is the Digital Champions Initiative. So the Digital Champions Initiative focuses on real training. So if people want to start, what can they do? So for example, the Explorer track is really an introduction. I have no clue what digital humanities is. What is it? So you can find videos on example digital humanities programs or projects. There are monthly digital humanities colloquia there. But some of them are specifically for example, education or for executives. So if you're a dean and you want to set up a digital humanities center or something like that. So there's a whole range of training activities here. Within this, we have, for example, I already mentioned the Digital Humanities Colloquium. That's a series every month. The videos of these colloquia are also available as a resource on the website. We also had DH Ignite activities. So these were regional events throughout the country where we tried to get researchers from different humanities together to talk to each other to learn about digital humanities. Okay, so the outlook, and I think I found this really the most difficult part of the presentation, because like I said, I don't have a crystal ball here. But what I expect to see in the near future is that there are more researchers realizing that they actually are already working in the field of digital humanities. They just never realized it. They just need to know, oh, is this digital humanities? I'm actually doing that. I am part of this community. So if we see that, we'll see a growth in this field, this community of digital humanities. And that's both in size, but also in activities. And you actually already see that happening throughout the country. There are more activities popping up, more organizations asking, oh, can you say something about digital humanities? We want this as well. So what I really like to see or hope to see is that we get this network of digital humanities centers throughout the country. And I know that Northwest University is setting one up as well. And I think that's excellent. Northwest University really sees, no, this is where we need to go. So I'm extremely happy that this is happening. I then expect more countrywide collaborations. I said right at the beginning, digital humanities is often about collaboration, so we need to get that organized. What I'd also expect or hope to see is that we get collaborations, not just within South Africa, but also outside South Africa, Africa-wide, for example. I expect more training and collaboration opportunities. And what I'd also like to see is more publication outlets, for example. So there is the DASA, remember that organization that I mentioned sometime at the beginning, the Digital Humanities Association of Southern Africa. They also have a journal now. So you can just publish your digital humanities research there, specifically for digital humanities. I also hope that the focus on more computational linguistics will, it's not that it will go away, but that it will broaden up. Digital humanities is not just linguistics, even though the focus here is very much on language. It's also more my background. And these are some examples that I grabbed from the DH colloquia that were already presented. So I know there are applications related to language. We actually had one related to video games, cultural analysis, healthcare, music, education, poetry, visual arts, computational social sciences, and cognition. So it's a much broader field than just the language, also than just the language examples that I had. Okay, so to summarize, DH, Digital Humanities, adds the digital to the humanities. Remember that blender at the beginning? It answers humanities questions using computational techniques. So you need that collaboration. I think, and I hope you see it as well, that it's an exciting field with really a wide range of opportunities. If you want to start, and this is kind of a call for you, although I know a lot of you are already active in this field, but in general, if you want to be involved in this as well, take a look at, for example, a project like Escalator that kind of help you grow into this field. And there are a lot of opportunities there to collaborate, to just work with somebody who already has more experience in this, or to just learn to participate. I think we're only at the start, even though it might not necessarily be that kind of really new field. We're only at the start, and I think it has an exciting future ahead. That is what I wanted to say for now. The only thing I really would like to do is I would like to thank a lot of people, because I think that is really needed. It's not just me standing as if I've done everything. There's a large group of people, and I really wrote down it, because I know I'm going to forget, and even with this list, I'm afraid I'm going to forget people. Okay, I hope I'll try to get through the list relatively quickly, because I know how boring this is, but it's also very important, because like I said, it's not just me. So first of all, I'd really like to thank Prof. Dumi Moyo and Prof. Mirna Nel, Prof. Liesel van Dijk, Prof. Phil van Skalkwijk, other deans, I'm not sure if there are other deans, heads of departments, I'm already forgetting right now, Prof. Langa, Kumalo, thank you very much, and Prof. Atti de Lange, of course, for having me here, for helping me here. I really, really appreciate it. And I think I'm already forgetting way more. I would like to thank all of you for just being here, for taking the time to listen to me going on and on. And I think there are also people online that I don't see, but thank you as well. I would also like to thank Northwest University for having that future and seeing, we can do this. Sadler belongs here. There will be a digital humanities center here as well. I think Northwest University is really, what's the right word? Kind of leading the way in this case. I also like to thank a number of people for a very practical thing. Lucinda, Eulalia, Jessica, and Tatu. If they were not here, this would be a major mess. I'm so happy for their help, for their help, and for them pushing me all the time, like, no, you need to say this, you need to, so that everything on the practical side gets organized. And I forget Darlene, who makes sure that everybody has a gown and all these practical things are organized. I thank you so much, because there's so much behind the scenes that you don't know. I'd really take it, and I'll really try to go through this fast. I'd really like to go through some academic history. I really like to thank, I'm not even sure, I know he was invited, I'm not sure if he's listening or will listen, Dick Groene. I don't think any of you know him. He was my master's supervisor when I did computer science a long, long time ago. And he personally had an interest in computers and language. And I think that's one of the places where it kind of sparked this interest. And I was so happy that he just let me do my own thing. And actually made me to the graduation part. And actually the same thing for my PhD. So Rens Bot, who was my supervisor for my PhD, he also just let me do my own thing. It's not that I didn't get help. I mean, I could always go to them to ask for help, but they just let me do my own things, and I really, really appreciate that. I'm not sure if I let my own PhD students that I supervise do their own thing, but I personally really enjoyed it. Then I would really like to thank Gerard van Huisteen, who unfortunately is not here because I really like to thank him in person, but I'll do that another day. Because he was the one in 2000 we met at a conference who brought me essentially here the first time to ask me, can I say something about computational linguistics and machine learning? And it's been an ongoing collaboration really over the years. I've been on and off working with him. I really, really appreciate his work. And he also showed me how nice South Africa can be. So that's what sparked it. This is already more than 20 years ago. Then a few years ago when I heard about this job, and I was not actually going to apply, but I met Roald Eisele at a conference, and he said, you need to apply. And I don't know. But he convinced me, and at the end of that conference, this was a conference, I'm like, oh, okay, perhaps this might actually be interesting. So he was the one who actually convinced me to apply, and I'm actually quite happy. I'm very happy that he did that. But it's not just that, and I also like to thank Martin, who's there, and a number of other people. Now, this is where I really start forgetting names, for making me or us feel at home when we arrived here. This was really not like a new country that was completely unknown. You're in a group of people that can help you, that can support you. Really, really appreciate it. Then, more work-related, Prof. Atti, thank you so much for getting me here, for making all of this work, for waiting for that long process on the visa application and everything, and being so patient. I really appreciate that. I know how difficult it can be. And also, afterwards, for providing essential feedback on what Sadler is, what it was, how it grew, feedback or information about the background of the university. This is extremely useful. Really appreciate it. Then I would like to thank the whole Sadler team. And I think they're so important. I'm actually going to quickly name all of them. It's quite a group. I'll just do first names, right? We're on a first name basis here. And these were alphabetically ordered. I hope I got that right. Andiswa, Benito, Cassius, Dion, Friedel, Jan Rudolf, Jessica, John, Langa, Lebogang, Lichle, Marissa, Marius, Masibidi, Muzi, Nomkoleko, Nomsa, Pelo, Respect, Ruweder, Tatu, Toby, and Secho. I mentioned Langa. Langa's on there. Yeah. Nobody's attacking me right now. That's good. And I realized when I made this list, we actually have a number of colleagues that left Sadler, not because they didn't like it, not that we scared them away. So that's Andrew, Atti, Prof. Atti, Dimakatsu Liane, Martin, not Martin Petkamer, Martin Henley, Patujetsu, Peter, Roald, Tabu, and Valencia. So, I mean, they're part of this family, even though they're not part of the family now. Then I'd like to quickly thank a number of collaborations, PhD students. Thank you, Johannes. Nuet Heinz, and all the other collaborations that I'm really not going to list here. One person that we've collaborated with extensively, another van der Walt, who helped set up the Escalator project. We've done so much work together. That was really, really excellent. Then it's not just the people at the hub or at the Sadler hub that are collaborators, also node managers. Prof. Dani Prinsloo, Prof. Elsebie Taljaard, Prof. Stanley Madonsela, Marissa Gisel again, Prof. Sonja Bos, Prof. Lydia Montepelo, we're getting there, Laurette Marais, Karen Kelto, Avashna Govinder, Martin Putkammer, Toby van Dijk, and Heather Brooks. So that's part of the kind of more extensive Sadelaar family, and they just belong to the family. It's a family. Then I also want, I'm not going to mention all these names, the DASA Executive Committee. So DASA, as I already mentioned, is this organization really growing digital humanities in Southern Africa. We have a really nice group in the DASA Executive Committee. We're trying to organize more and more activities there as well. Thank you so much. And here I also want to thank Prof. Dumi Moyo and Prof. Miranel again for seeing that there needs to be a digital humanities center here at Northwest. I mean, if people like you are not doing this, it is just not happening. So we need more people like you. Then I'm really nearly there now. On a personal note, I'd like to, wait a minute, wrong keyboard. I'd really like to thank my parents, and I'll explain about this picture. Perhaps I should do that first. So I can't even remember exactly when I got it, but I think my parents made this when I got my PhD. And for those of you who can't read it or who don't read Dutch, in the kind of left low corner it says, "Ik wil later professor worden." I want to be a professor when I grow up. Apparently, I really cannot remember this, but apparently I said that when I was 4 or something. I think I'm one of these people who actually managed to become what they wanted to become when they were, you know, yay big. So, yeah, so thank you. Ik wil jullie gewoon bedanken voor alle, voor alle support. We'll handle this later. I also would like to thank Colin and Leila, who are sitting there in the back, and they're like, no. So I know that you don't always like it when I have to travel or when I'm working or something, but I know that you're always there for me, so thanks. And then of course, I cannot, I cannot forget to thank Tanya. Yeah. What do I say? I mean, we share essentially everything. And we've done that for the last a little bit more than 24 years. Yeah, I can't do this without you. Actually, I wrote this down really just now. 20 years ago, on this day, Tanya received her PhD, exactly on the 1st of November, 20 years ago. I think that's actually really nice. Okay, now I know I'm going to forget people. I really apologize. It doesn't mean that I don't appreciate you. We've worked together. Like I said, these are collaborations. I can't do this without you. Thank you.
I don't know whether I'm responding to Menno, the 4-year-old, or Menno, the real full professor. But he was professor since 4, so. The acting Deputy Vice Chancellor, Prof. Dumi Moyo, the acting Executive Dean. I love this. Prof. Nell, Prof. Lizel. It's so good to always see you here, and by extension, Prof. Toby. It's a response to Menno, but I am really extending a reflection on what we do at Sadelaar. But I want to say, as a God-fearing person, I think, Menno, you are very lucky that you have your mom and dad here. And in my religion, you cannot possibly know God and praise God if you can't honor your father and mother. And I am very happy to say you are such a lucky man, and I want to recognize your parents. You have recognized your own half. I'm not going to dabble there. Tanya, you're recognized, and family. But I want to say congratulations, Menno, on a fantastic and very informative address. The address is wide in its scope, striking and instructive in its impact, delivered with so much authority over the field, but with lucid and accessibility that made us all very happy to follow what you are saying. Thank you very much for that. In your title, you said the digital humanities revolution in South Africa, the journey from beginning to beyond. And I latched on the word revolution. There are so many definitions of revolution. Most of it is linked to political power. I have no interest in politics, not least because there is no honesty in that field. But I had this definition, which I extracted from a Cambridge online dictionary. There are no prizes for guessing why I took a Cambridge dictionary. And it says, a very important change in the way people think or do things. And the example is the technological revolution. And the context is the discovery caused a revolution in medicine. And Menno is claiming that digital humanities has caused a revolution, not just in the manner in which we do humanities, human sciences, but in its impact when it comes to the work that has happened within the context of South African languages. And I want to put that in the background, because I really think that there has been a major shift in the manner in which we are doing work in the humanities and social sciences as a result of the impact of DH. And in one of the quotations that you shared, Michael says digital humanities is the use of digital technologies to generate and answer new questions relevant to humanities scholar, and to share and transform scholarship in its modes of creation and dissemination. I really think that to me, those quotations that you shared, this one was the most succinct, and especially because of the kind of work that you've come to do at Sadela and that you've continued to do by way of training to our researchers, and the first DH product in South Africa, which we graduated here at the Northwest University, Johannesburg. We are so proud. And this is an attestation of the impact of Menno's work since he arrived here at the Northwest University, and specifically at Sadela. And we always like to emphasize that. Friedel is smiling, and I like that. So is digital humanities a discipline, a field, or it is just interdisciplinarity? And that's something that I picked up when I was reflecting on this response. And I think you managed to show us that it has grown, it is growing, and the scope is there for it to actually instantiate itself as a full-fledged discipline, as a full-fledged field of study, instead of it being viewed as partnerships, collaborations between disciplines. So it really, I liked the idea of a blender, and I liked the fact that you got the colors so spot on. I saw the dean smile. So it really adequately blends humanities and digital techniques. And you managed to show, and I will get there very quickly in terms of your milestones that you shared with us. But I want to say this, that it has transformed the way we ask questions. And you see this in the manner in which you're getting new papers in South Africa that straddle computational techniques and humanities datasets. So it is really making comparative analysis much more quicker and much more easier. You can go through huge data sets at the click of a button if you know what you're doing. I think Cohen will know that, right, Cohen? If you know what you're doing, if you know how to code, you can do so much so fast. So it is a fast evolving field. Started very, very highly interdisciplinary in South Africa around the turn of the century, but I think we are pushing the frontiers so that it really becomes a field of study. And Northwest University is doing very well that we are initiating, and no, actually we are opening a new Center for Digital Humanities. The process has been initiated and has matured. So it's out of incubation. We're going to be having a DH center. So it's a full-fledged discipline on its own. You've shared the milestones of how digital humanities has grown globally and mainly in South Africa around the turn of the century, and in 2016 when we launched DASA. I think we launched it here, right? Yeah? We were here, and Ati was in the first executive, the Inaugural committee, executive committee of that association. And I'm sure others that joined online. I'm hoping Karen is online, and Prof Eustace. Those people that formed the first executive committee of DASA, the Inaugural committee. And I'm very happy to see you, Prof Ati. And of course, in 2018, we joined ADHO, which was another big milestone, not just for DASA, but for the work that we were doing at the time in South Africa to be part of this global community. And of course, in 2016, also having SADILA born out of the SAREL program as a research infrastructure. I will pause here for a minute. Menno is putting me under pressure to quicken my response because he's standing, and now I'm feeling I'm delaying him. But I hope he's good. He's good. Are you cool? Okay, cool. Because I really want to latch on your key contributions because I think they are cool. And I think what you shared with us really is instructive in terms of its impact. And I'll quickly go to that part because I really don't want you to be standing too long. We are the main men. So the comparative narrative analysis work that you did not just introduced African languages into these techniques and to demonstrate that they are really applicable to African languages and Afrikaans, but also to provide an interesting question when you actually spoke about translation or putting translation into the equation, and whether or not when you're actually reading a translated work, are you actually reading the original work in the source language. And my argument is that, of course, you're not. Because language, and I'm speaking here as a linguist, language carries certain nuances that when you unlock them appropriately and fully, you unlock the knowledge centers that are sitting in that particular language. And of course, these will show themselves up when you are moving in between the languages. And so what is happening is that you are actually having language centers getting unlocked within the same theme, as it were, or story, as it were, so that the one story that is in one particular target language is tinged with the culture, is tinged with the history, the IKS of that particular target language. And therefore, you're not only reading a variant of the source story, but you are reading an enriched story, because now you are getting a more global story that is subsisting in a variety of cultures and a variety of languages. So I find that very, very interesting, and I like the fact that the test was extended to our own local languages. And on readability, first of all, for its importance in the South African education system, the Pearls reports of 2012 and 2020 really show that we are struggling in terms of reading. And the metrics is vitally, vitally important. And most of our African languages don't have these metrics. And for us to have a project that has as its output a reading metrics for Sesotho is kudos not just to you, but to our first DH scholar in the country. So Sibego, that was really an excellent output. And to have, again, as a resource, the bilingual corpus, English Sesotho corpus, and of course the frequency list in Sesotho was also something that I think your work has provided a physical, an original contribution to our DH work in South Africa. I want to end with this because I have a background in lexicography, and the Ngoo dictionary is to me the biggest contribution, not least because it's a language that has only one known speaker. I was hoping you're going to give us a round of applause. If amongst the three examples of your work that you shared, Menno, this is the most important in terms of its lasting impact. Now we have, if all these speakers are decimated, and I dare say it's the last non-speaker who is at an advanced stage of her life. But now we have a digital resource in the form of not just a multilingual dictionary, which makes for its varied and expansive use, but a dictionary portal and a dictionary application that has audio, the app and the application, that has audio. And that's so very, you said you don't look into the future. That's so futuristic, because you have a potential of speakers teaching themselves through this facility, the audio facility, some of the words in the dictionary. So I think if there is one major contribution, this is one of the most important and one of the most lasting. So you have framed digital humanities as cultivating an active community of practice, a clear investment in human capacity development, and we really want for the Escalator program to be an instrument through which we can drive human capacity development in this area. But I want to add that DH has an exciting future, not just because we have the Escalator, and the Escalator is on its way in really making impact, as you shared, through the DH Ignites, through the various tracks in the Escalator, but the opportunities that sit with large language models and generative AI. And we need to find a way of deriving interesting interface between DH and these development. But I must say, as my last word, humanities and their traditional offerings have been truly revolutionized, as you've aptly titled your talk. Thank you very much, Menno, and congratulations.
would like to just say a few words to congratulate Prof. Menno on reaching this huge milestone. We really are proud of your achievement tonight and would like to say congratulations. It's really an honor for us in the Faculty of Humanities, but also at Northwest University, to be hosting such colorful scholars, to be hosting the Sadila at our institution, which is doing such fantastic and pioneering work which you have demonstrated tonight. We really are proud of you and wish you all the best. Unfortunately, in academia, sometimes you feel you have reached, you've arrived, but it sort of marks the beginning of something else. So I think this is the beginning of more exciting work in your journey. And with the pen that we're giving you there, we are saying, keep writing. Thank you very much, and have a good night. And I want to also thank and honor Prof. Menno's parents who are here tonight and say very much welcome to this important occasion. We really appreciate your effort to come and celebrate with us tonight. This is a big moment for us in the faculty and in the University of at the Northwest University. So thank you very much and all the very best.
I'm not going to say it from me to you. This is from your family, that detailed family that you described.
I'm looking around.
You're looking around. No, again, congratulations. And I'm going to give the acting DVC to actually give it to you, because that's the appropriate person.
Congratulations. Big effort. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Così si chiede in Africa, ma non pagani su ponoloio, gli suoi imitana soietu, così si chiede tina, un sapovaio, murena buluca se ciava sa Jesu, ufe di settentuale la suegne, si buluche, si ciava sa Jesu, si ciava sa South Africa, South Africa. Bij die blauw van onze hemel, bij die diepte van ons ziel, voor ons eeuwige gebergtes, wat die krause antwoord geeft. Sounds the call to come together, and united we shall stand. Let us live and strive for freedom in South Africa, our land.